a lot to get to be like, but
Oh, we
well, how do you
know.
get there? And you're just kind of like, it's not easy either, really. And
Yeah. Yeah, I always have to tell people I'm from Mississippi, not the racist part.
Yeah.
and that's I don't know if you guys follow me online. I got into it today with some lunatic fan. I don't think he's
Nice.
a fan anymore, but it happens. Are we live? Is this the
Yes.
podcast?
We are live to Twitch.
Oh, we are live.
We're
Thanks
on
for telling
Twitch.
nobody.
Sorry.
Okay.
My bad.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I asked because who knows where I was. I thought we were in green room talk.
Yeah, green room talk, man. Um, no, so what we do here? First of all, thanks for coming on, man.
Of course.
Really great having you.
Sorry, sorry. We couldn't do
dude,
it together. Sorry.
You're totally fine, man. This worked out perfectly actually because our guest for this week canceled anyways. So no, you're
Good.
totally fine.
Yeah, you're the backup.
That's great. That's great.
It's just regular comedy podcast shit, man. We just shoot the shit, talk about whatever you want. I'll plug your show that you're doing at Hideaway because I think that's the closest show you have booked to us. And,
Is that?
yeah. That's in North Shore, Louisiana.
Sure. That's why I got in trouble, or I didn't get in trouble, but I responded to someone they were kind of rude and aggressive on the internet. And I was just kind of like, hey, no. You're complaining that, like, because I advertised that show as New Orleans.
Oh, no. Because where the fuck is it, right?
Because it's like, yeah, I was like, okay, I live in a major city that it's like, okay, it's like 30 miles. It's equal time from the airport to that place I'm playing and downtown. So I was like, that seems like New Orleans, right? Like a metro area.
Yeah.
And someone got offended in a way that was like weird and aggressive.
Somebody got offended on the internet? No, there's no way.
But it was like at first I was like, this is like a troll, right?
Yeah.
But then, no, the way they got their feelings hurt and how weird and the weird places they took it, it was like, no, maybe they're day drunk. I think I don't.
This is good show content, so let's save that for the show.
Oh, we're not live? I thought we were live.
Well, we're live to Twitch, but we haven't started recording the episode yet.
You guys are complicated.
We're very complicated. It's also a meme that we just like don't tell guests when we start.
Yeah.
That like everyone calls us out for. We should
I
really
don't mind
be
that
better
part.
podcasters.
No, that's like everyone's getting loose. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But you should warn people that you're like, hey,
don't say the N-word right now.
As soon as we are talking. So you could be like, that's like, there's no green room area. I think that's probably the best way to warn comedians is like, there's no like before the show talk where you're like, hey, this motherfucker, you know.
Yeah, right. This fucking retard. No, you can't say that.
No, don't be yourself right now. We're doing no.
All right, well, here we go. You guys ready? Let's start this thing. 3, 2, 1. Music can only mean one thing. It is time for the Open Micers podcast. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm feeling kind of classy yoked today, boys. Like a caviar, like a nice fine caviar on a cracker. Mm-hmm. I'm Jacob Craig. And our guest tonight, you know him from Conan, from Squidbillies, Comedy Central. He has all those fun little credits. And you can actually see him live. You can buy tickets right now on bwdtour.com.
Yeah.
He's coming to Mandeville, Louisiana, and or New Orleans. Or
yeah,
North
you
Shore.
Should be specific about that, evidently.
That's the thing about the North Shore, dude. It's like no one knows what the fuck to call it because it's all just like the same thing. But that's September 16th. And you can buy
the dude
right now.
Yeah, after I was like, because I think people are shocked on Twitter when they're like kind of rude to me, and then I'm like, you know, say stuff back to them.
Yeah, right. Like everyone
And,
thinks that they can just respond, like trash a celebrity without them responding.
Yeah.
and I'm not a celebrity, but I get that they because
Right.
whatever, you know what I mean?
The blue
It's
check
like
mark.
I don't even have Twitter. That's the weird thing. I've never had that on purpose because I thought it was weird. Also noticed. I also noticed that some of my friends would get it, and then they wouldn't respond to me stuff, and then someone pointed out like, "Oh well, in your mentions, like you can just see if only blue checks respond. There's like just one of those, so they're just not looking at the people that don't have blue." And I was like, "Oh, that is so I can tell when that like
Yeah.
actual friends of mine are doing that on Twitter because they'll be like, I didn't see it. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because you only look at the blue checks, you weird high school freak.
Yeah, right.
It's very strange. It's a strange, just like I don't like it's like I have a bunch of followers. No one's trying to be me or anything. And if they are, I'm like, cool, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I
It would
don't think
I
almost
think
be
it'd be
like a
funny if
favor.
somebody pretended me gets more followers. That would be awesome.
I
Well,
don't
it'd be
think
almost
I'll
like a
ever know
favor
what
because then
it's.
they have to deal with it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's say I don't think I'll ever know what it's like to have the blue check on anything because I'll never be that famous to have a
You
check.
say that, but someone close to you could get murdered. That
I mean, it's pretty possible with Jacob. I mean, he's come close to getting murdered a few times in the last
I'm
few
just
weeks.
and then this podcast really takes off. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Dude. Oh man, there are so
Like,
many people that could listen to this and then just find me. Like I'm definitely gonna end up in a Netflix documentary soon.
I mean, fingers crossed, you can do it.
That's the benchmark.
It is.
Jason got his someone filled up Jason's tire
Yeah.
recently. They like filled it with more air, like to try to make it explode.
Yeah,
And he
so
has no idea who did it.
I was gonna talk about that on the show here. I don't know because I went on Facebook because I don't know if this is some kind of like new prank or something that
What do
people are
you?
doing, but I got in my,
It didn't need air.
well, no, I got in my car the other day and I keep my tires checked. You know, I keep the correct PSI in them, and I get in my car to go to work and it says to check tire pressure. So I get to work, I get my little air gauge thing, I get out and I check my tires, and my right front tire had 60 pounds of pressure in it, which is double what it's supposed to be. So somebody put air into my tire overnight. And I only have one enemy that I know of. And Jacob even brought it up. The first thing Jacob said was this certain person. And I'm like, I really don't know if he knows what I drive, but it wouldn't be hard to find out. I mean, he knows where I live.
But I mean that I was gonna say like sometimes like the weather has something to do with that, but then you were like, it's twice the amount. I was like, that's not the weather.
Yeah.
That is
This is
That's
intentional.
somebody.
it'd be like a tornado got inside the tire. That's
Yeah.
like you captured a that's like it is a like look up like what that can do.
I mean, it'll
Yeah,
cause your tire to explode. You know, if I was on the interstate driving or whatever, it could have exploded on me.
Sure, but I mean that's more of a like a just like a borderline prank.
That's what I'm
Then,
thinking.
like,
Like
It's
why?
like a redneck prank.
Yeah,
Does that
why?
make sense?
That seems
Yeah.
like a lot of work for a prank that may not have a.
That's why I said
payoff.
redneck prank, where
Yeah.
you're like, there's like, hey, I'll help you fix it too, and you're like, man, you are weird, but I appreciate that. That is, you are going to need to. I am going to need because, yeah, that is like I learned that. Like I went to this mud thing, in the middle of Florida. That's the best way to describe
Mud
it. It is.
thing.
Okay.
It was like this huge park. And park it's not a park. It's just some giant, probably old farm is what it was. 500 something acres, and then they made a big mud thing or trails, and people from all over paid $50 a head just to show up, and it was chaos. I was there working on it, like I was filming a documentary thing, so I wasn't like it's fun. This is insane, but they really had to explain it to me because I'm like like with the pranks, you're like, that's a lot of work. Is most of the fun for them is to like make things and then break them because then they get to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do it until it breaks, and I was like, we work so different. It's like that's like I don't want my car to ever break ever. And they're like, no, I drove it into the thing until it. And then remember when I filled your tire up? Remember how funny it was and it exploded? And then I was like, I got you. And you're like, what is
That's true. I
like?
mean, there are more efficient ways to kill somebody. Like you can just cut the brake line.
It's not a kill thing. That's what I'm saying. It's like a weird redneck prank. Where it's like,
Yeah.
do you say I filled your tire up too much? And you're like, yeah, was that you? Got you. And you're like, okay.
It's more just to cause an inconvenience than anything.
Yeah. Like, were you parked dumb? Like, we could have been one of your neighbors. And it was like, yeah, this guy fucking parked.
No, I mean, you've seen my parking lot outside my building. It's just a regular parking lot.
Oh, could she live in an apartment
Yeah.
with many people?
Yeah.
You could have been the victim of like mistaken car.
It's
Identity,
possible.
That's true.
I think that's probably that makes more sense than anyone, because even you were like, well, that one guy, then you're like, it seems like a lot of work. Even you guys are like, I don't think that's him. He's lazy. Like,
Yeah, right.
so I just think it's probably like, hey, I fucked your car up, and you're like, no, you didn't. And somebody's like, uh-oh, you drive that car. You're like, that's not my car. And you're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, but now it's caused me, because I have, like weird anxiety shit. So now, like every single night, like every couple of hours, I'll just stick my head out the door and see if anybody's fucking with my car.
Well,
Why don't
and
you
that's-
get like a little camera?
I mean, I guess I
Yeah, there you go.
could.
If you're, I mean, it's a little peace of mind there just to figure out like, hey, I wonder if anybody, because that's like, you can get one of little motion things for pretty cheap on Amazon.
But
Yeah, I
the
have a trail
problem is,
camera. I'll let you borrow it.
the problem is living in an apartment complex.
Yeah, you guys are in Mississippi. Just go to Bass Pro. They got all kinds of cameras.
Yeah,
Problem-
or just go to the Walmart.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
problem is I live in an apartment complex, so I never park like in the same spot all the time.
That's
So,
what I'm
dude-
saying. Get the trail one and just put it next
Yeah.
to
Your parking spot's like really close to the bushes. Just put the
It
trail
would be
cam in
funny if
between
they
the
stole
bushes.
the camera, though. That would be
I just need to
funny
get some
if they
camouflage
would.
from the Bass Pro Shop, and I'll go sit
See-
in the bushes overnight waiting
Yeah,
for somebody
it'll
to
be
fuck
funny
with
if
my
they
car.
just like filled the camera up with air.
Then all of a sudden I see Jacob.
I do that.
Jacob sneaking
All
up
we got
like
is this air gun. That's what we got.
But I think too, like you can't do that quietly.
Yeah.
That's what I was just coming to. I was like,
In the
I
middle
grew
of
up
the
on a
night, you
cattle
just heard,
farm. My grandpa's cattle farm was down the street, and like he had an air machine, and that thing is loud.
yeah. It's like there's definitely like brrr at like 3 a.m, and someone definitely poked their head up there, like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
But I mean, you're just like, hey, flat tire, and you're like, okay, gotta go to work or something. Like it's not like a super suspicious thing.
Yeah,
Jacob, you don't own air compressor, do you?
I do actually. Yeah.
My circle closes even further.
Oh no. It's all right, dude. If I wanted to prank you, I'd just fuck your cat.
You're not her type.
That's the best redneck prank ever, dude. Just fucking animal.
Is
No, am I the only
Is
one?
that? I don't. Yeah, I mean, I have a friend, and she's. This is funny.
Where is this going?
This is funny. It's funny now because like she told me this story years ago. She's from my hometown. And like literally when I tell you all these details, you could probably look up who it is. Pretty funny, but he didn't do anything. She was just at a party in like this real country part of Kentucky, and she's like, this guy. We can say anything, right? On this.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's like this like barn kind of field party, like that happens in the town or whatever. And she's there with her removed cousins in the town. And this guy says, hey, I bet y'all $50 I can fuck that pig. Or you won't, somehow that came up, or like someone's like $50 says you won't fuck that pig or something like that. And this dude was like, I'll do it or whatever. And everyone laughed. and she thought it was like really funny. But then everyone just got quiet and then he caught the. She was like, and then he fucked the pig at the party, and I was like, say what? She was like, and then he fucked the pig, and then the pig let the pig loose, and it ran off to wherever, and then the party just kept going, and someone gave him $50, and it was just like it was like part of the part, and I'm like, what? She's like, I have to keep telling this story because it doesn't seem, she's like, it's one of those things where like everyone's face is like yours right now. We're like, I don't. She's like, but I saw it. She's like, I wouldn't. She was like, why would I make that up? And I was like, no, she's not like a dramatic you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like a redneck dude kind of. She remember the Grand Ole Opry. That makes me laugh so hard now.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's probably the worst. That's not even close to the worst thing a member of the Grand Ole Opry has seen or. Um, but that story always makes me laugh because it is just like, huh. And she was like, the weirdest part. I was like, yeah, the party just kept going. She was like, that was exactly the weirdest part. Like that, no one seemed super phased.
So did he fuck the pig to completion?
I didn't. I think he fucked it for a while till it was like, okay, this is it.
Okay.
And I don't know why in my head, but the scene, it's like got a similar vibe to that scene in Boogie Nights. Do you know what I mean? When they're just like at the party and there's just like, dude, they're standing around while dudes play on that dude's wife in
Oh
the
yeah,
carport or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like that kind of like, huh. That kind of just like, okay.
Where is
like
your
you can't even be
hometown?
mad.
Huh? It wasn't my hometown, it was in Kentucky. But I'm not defending my hometown that wouldn't happen in my hometown.
Yeah. I feel like that happened in my hometown like a few days ago.
I mean,
there's gotta be.
It's that there's that part of every place. It's like when you know what I mean? It's like I live in Los Angeles and people are like, man, there's parts of that town that are, you're like, yeah, it's a place.
Yeah.
Every place has good and bad and crazy and cool and
animal fucking.
And well, that's just usually like, 10 or 11 miles outside of town at least.
Yeah.
It gets into where you're like, wow, it seems like we're so much further away than we are.
Well, I can't even blame people for continuing the party because, like, you can't be mad. You told the guy to do it.
It is. I think it would be if you're just kind of like, huh. Anyway, so, because it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just remember there's a dude that was in our high school, and I didn't go to, like, especially younger, like when I was a freshman or sophomore, I didn't go to many parties. My dad was one of the football coaches, and so there was like a lot of stuff that he was aware of, and so I wasn't allowed to be at, which is probably for the best as I look back on it. But at the time, it was frustrating. But one dude came back, and I still don't know why. I don't know. I don't think it's good, but he was forever known as, I don't know his real name anymore, is Sweet Meat. And I can't imagine it was good because of who was around when it happened. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, oh, but he was like, I want to belong. So he really went with it. And I still don't know, but I know it wasn't, you know what I mean? Where you're just like, oh, I don't want to know this. What do they do to you, sweet boy?
Sweet Meat was actually one of Jason's startup bands before he hit it big. I think you were in Sweet Meat in high school.
Yeah, I played bass for Sweet Meat back in the 90s.
That's a good gig. It's a good name for a band. It's not a good name.
I guarantee there's been a band named Sweet Meat at this point. There has to be.
Yeah. There's definitely been a charcuterie board named Sweet Meat.
Is that how you say that word?
Yeah, charcuterie. So
you look like you're questioning us on that pronunciation.
I mean, we all have accents, so there's no way we're nailing everything, I don't think.
Yeah, no. My girlfriend doesn't know the difference between pastor and pasture. Drives me fucking insane.
Oh, that is. Does she know it?
She
Did
knows
it drive?
now.
Did it drive you crazy? I bet she does on
Oh,
purpose.
she does. She definitely fucking does.
So she says, "My pastor said,"
Yes.
and then she calls the pastor a pastor.
Yeah. She was like, look at the cows and the pastor over there. I'm like, the
Ah,
cows
she
aren't in a
did that on
pasture.
So
Bro.
what
purpose.
does she
That's
think?
funny.
What does she
She's
think
filling
of?
up your tires and she's fucking with you. She's
Ask
fun.
her. Ask her what she knows about Louis Pasteur, and see what she says.
Dude, she was wearing a Beatles shirt yesterday, and I called her out. I was like, name one member of the Beatles, and she couldn't fucking do it. Like,
She said
she's not gonna
that.
know.
She's like my pastor,
Yeah, my pastor
Pastor
was in the
John
Beatles.
Lennon.
She's not gonna know who Louis Pasteur fucking
She
is.
doesn't know who any. She can't name one of the Beatles.
No, can't. Nope, not a single one.
But
Can't name Yoko Ono. Fucking nothing.
but they're like,
I know.
I think two of them are apostles names.
Yeah.
So she could just name that like
She could just guess. And
Yeah.
give it a
Even
good...
if she just guessed and just said John, like, and she would have been right.
that's yeah, or Paul,
Yeah.
Yeah.
George.
Even if she just,
like
even
they're
if she
all
just went
very.
with,
It's like just say a British name. Just say
Yeah.
a British name. George.
even Pete, she would be technically right. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, Pete Best was in the Beatles. Like, fucking bonus points.
She's like, I don't know, bingo, and you're like, God, you're closer than
You're
you
fucking
think. That's
close.
crazy.
Yeah, no, she couldn't even. It started a huge fight. Like, we almost
It
broke up.
should. I'm kind of upset about like her not knowing one of their names.
Her thing was like, this shirt was at Walmart for $2, and you're gonna judge me because I can't name anyone on my shirt. I'm like, all right, name a Beatles song. She could fucking do it.
Yeah. You can't wear that shirt. You're a poser. Like, don't wear
Fucking
it.
poser, dude.
It's
Take it
weird.
off.
That's. Did you
But it's like-
find her in a pasture somewhere, just wandering in a pasture?
Pretty
You're not-
much, man.
You're not far off.
Like my whole town and her whole town is basically just all pastures as far as the eye can see.
I think he's frozen.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, there
You're
you
back.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
we were
it's
having
just all-
fun.
It's just all pastures, dude. Just like,
No, I've been there. That's
yeah,
59 is scary.
yeah. So like,
I'm
we're-
wondering if how old is your girlfriend, Jacob?
she's the same age as me. She's
What
a
is
year
that?
young. She's a year older than me. 22.
That's not the same age as you.
Yeah, it is. How old do you think I am?
Now that you said 22, I think you're 22.
Hell yeah, dude. What did you think before?
I wasn't gonna go older than 25. I'll be honest. Because you were like, my girlfriend can't name one of the Beatles, and I was like, man,
14, right?
either he's like a dude in his late 20s and he's dating some woman with a head injury, or he's pretty young. That means he's pretty young, and that's
Yeah.
not crazy, but it is weird to be like wear a band shirt and not Google them.
Yeah, right.
Like that's the I think that's more of the like not to be curious, like who are these guys? Why is his shirt like this? Like
Right. It was like, why did you buy it? Like, you could have
well,
bought
the
another
$2
shirt.
thing that I get that is also weird.
But she said it's like, and she explained to me the $2 shirts. She was like, there was a Beatles shirt and a SpongeBob shirt and a Minnesota Vikings shirt. And I'm like, well, then get the Minnesota Vikings. Like, you can name at least one player on the Minnesota Vikings.
But
Like,
what is it if you don't know who they are? Why does it matter which shirt you choose? You're not wrong about anything you're saying. All your logic is, I am like, this is so much better than the stupid Twitter thing I got into because this is fascinating. Because she has no ties to any of them.
she got
So
the
in her-
SpongeBob shirt too.
Oh, she got that one too?
Yeah, because she's watched SpongeBob.
Yeah, I was going to say,
So it came down to Minnesota Vikings or the Beatles.
but she
Yeah,
knew
she's-
football was, right?
Yeah, she doesn't watch football anymore because we live together, and I think football's fucking gay. So, but she knows like someone on the Minnesota Vikings.
That was aggressive.
I know.
That was
I'm
like-
sorry.
that was
I don't know.
wow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for whatever football did to you, but
Yeah, man. God.
Well, dude, it's just
I
we
played
live.
and it wasn't. it was. I mean, there was probably some gay stuff, but
Yeah. Well,
you
it's
ever
like we
been to
live
a
in a
bar? There's
place.
always gay stuff.
It's like we live in a place where football's like religion, and it's just I
No,
just
I
fucking can't
understand that
stand it.
part of it. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's not okay. That's put it, but I see what this I see what Mississippian use is like. This is gay, and the way they do it,
It's too much, dude.
it is the pageant. It is a weird missing the. They miss the point of some stuff in a weird way, and then are hateful about some. You're right. I understand it,
Yeah.
but
It's like the Saints lose and they'll like put cigarettes out on themselves. It's like what the fuck are you doing with your life?
well, that's well, okay. I can explain what that is. See, when you as you get older, and this will happen, um, you, some people don't process like their failures and their successes the correct way, and then they don't like own up to certain things. And so what they do is they'll project onto other things they can't really control
Yeah.
and act like that is like some people do it with, pastors, and then some people do it with um football teams where they're
Yeah.
like, oh, if you win, I'm happy. And if you lose, mm, I can get the pain out too. And you're like, none of this is good, you
Yeah.
guys. I I'll say this on your Mississippi podcast. I played football. I was pretty deep, pretty good at it. You know what I mean? I played in the South. So
Yeah.
it was like, uh, I could have played in college, that kind of thing. And I was like, even in college, I mean, in high school, I was like, no,
It's too much.
it's, well, f- football practice sucks.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
It's not
game is
pleasant.
fun. The game is fun as hell. Like that part, don't get me wrong. Friday night, and I've done some pretty cool stuff in my career, but like Friday nights or in high school football are that part's pretty special. It's
Yeah.
weird. And I've done some like kind of like thrilling things as an adult. I'm still like, that's still you know?
Yeah.
Uh but I never understood fandom. I mean, I do, like, I understand it, like, because I like bands and things, like, people, like, I
Right.
understand it, but like the obsession with like teams and that kind of stuff, like, I never, even as a player, I didn't fully understand the emotions that people had behind it. Like, it's fun to watch the game, it's like thrilling and it's back and forth and it's suspensive, like that is all. I love sports,
Yeah.
I
but
think it taps into something primal in
sure,
people.
and I think I miss that. I don't understand that part, and
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm so questioning. You're exactly right. There's like, it's a big thing, but I remember just being in high school and like when Tennessee would lose, people would be like their weekends would be like ruined,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Well,
I just even then I was like, I mean, I'm a fan that like it's
yeah.
to the game. The game's fun. There's 110,000 people there. Everybody's like, that's crap. You know what I mean? That's an event. It's a lot of exchange of energy. It's fun. They lost. You're like, oh, that sucks. We had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
You want to go eat pizza? And they're like, God damn, if that receiver would have just, we could have. And I'm like, man,
Yeah,
we were in the upper deck
that's the
and you
weird.
were in a blackout.
Yeah, that's
So it's like, what?
the weird part about it when people like the people's team lose or wins or something like, yeah, we won and all this stuff, and I'm like, you didn't do shit.
Right.
No.
Like it's so funny to me. Like people are so invested in a game that like 16-year-olds are playing, or it's like they
That,
base their whole personality around it.
well, like the high school stuff makes sense to me in like the community of it. And like what was cool was like my high school we weren't good for 20 something years.
Yeah.
And then my senior year we got pretty good. And it was like the town's like, we are good. And you're just like, you guys haven't been here for 3 years.
That's
But
the
this
same
is
thing. Like when I was in
it's
high school, that place was a dump. Like there were windows that were shattered out. There was no money
Hell
for the
yeah.
school. Like it sucked where I went to high school. Then like I
Homeschooled, by the way.
graduated. Yeah, and then I graduated, and then like a couple of years later, the football team ended up winning like the state 4A championship or something. Next thing you know, all the windows are fixed. There's new paint job on the school. Got a nice big sign up by the interstate that's like D'Iberville Warriors 4A champs. Like, where was all this money when I was in school to like knock some fucking sense into half of us with
it was
education?
no, we're a town now because football, and you're like,
Yeah, and then they actually became a
no.
town a few years later. Like they actually like became the city of D'Iberville. I'm like, all that because of a football game? Really?
Hell yeah, brother.
Yep.
Well, my
Re
thing too is like the same the same people who were bummed like about a sports game. Like I remember the day after President Obama got reelected, I went to school and the same fucking people were bummed out about that. I'm like, oh, that explains everything.
Well, that was most of Mississippi.
Yeah.
But just seeing like the obvious disdain on their face that they're just like they're in their life pissed off because the president's black now.
Well, that was the
And
thing.
like,
You could easily tell who's racist after that election.
oh
Like,
yeah,
oh yeah.
it was hilarious.
Well, it was surprising a little bit too, because you
It
hear
was.
like it was like but even before Trump, that is a good point. It was like it was it's a quiet reveal of people's reactions to that one. Like,
Yeah, because when I
welcome
was
Obama, and you're
younger,
like, I don't understand.
because when
He
I was
seems pretty
younger,
awesome. I don't
you-
know if you've heard him
you're
talking.
right. Like living in the South, like the racism is very just kind of like I don't know if it's normalized or you just don't notice it or if it's just like not out in the open. And then before Trump came along, it was just kind of like you'd hear somebody like like one of your elders or something say something, and you're just like, ugh, that was fucked up.
Yeah, they were
And,
just like,
and now they're just like on Facebook, just like throwing it out there, and I'm like, ew, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, it would be like a certain generation would say certain words, or like, no, and it was always striking because it wasn't like I've said this. My grandpa would use the N word sometimes, but not in a hateful way. Now
Yeah.
it was racist. I'm not saying that.
Okay. So no rap lyrics
Understand
for
what I'm saying?
Grandpa.
But like, I would never have played my just the beats alone would mess him up. Just showing him like binary code. You know what I mean? But he's like he's a brilliant man. But like, hey, look, this is how computers talk, and he'd be like, oh, I mean, like, so you've worked really hard in your life, and I'm a smartass. But it is. What was I talking about?
Your grandpa said the N word.
Oh, the N word. Like he would say it every now and then, but in like a not hateful way, just in a racist way. But it was just
very
like,
casually.
yes,
Dude.
and not even mean. If that makes sense, like not in a mean. It was just like it's hard. Like I think you guys know what where it's like,
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like my
it's like
grandfather had this friend of his. He'd been friends with this guy, this old black guy named Joe. Been friends with him since like World War II. And I'm talking like this was back when I was a kid, like back in the 80s. And, he's friends with this guy, been friends with him for decades. And he called him N-word Joe.
yeah.
He's just like, we'd be sitting
That's a
there.
Huckleberry Finn character.
We'd be sitting there at dinner. He's
Well,
like,
there's a
old N-word Joe's going
Mark
to come
Twain
by
didn't
later. And I'm
come up
like,
with that, by the way.
oh, like what? But that's just the casual racism that we grew up with.
It was not even hate. Like it's hard to explain in a way that's like, I don't think my grandpa viewed them. You know what I mean? Like view black people. Jesus Christ,
You're getting canceled, sir.
that's sure.
What do you mean them?
It's like
Viewed they them. He's being very progressive right now.
that's what I was doing. But like the way he viewed black people wasn't like a class, like less than. It
Yeah.
was like it was a weird language thing, and I didn't. I know I was like, he was ancient and like never rarely used it, but was that like you were saying it would pop out every now and then and be like, what the
Yeah.
I don't
Well, it's like,
understand.
look, man, we've all said the N word, like in different contexts. Like I had a friend in high school
Speak for
who like
yourself.
Yeah, I was like, I'm probably
you've
not.
said the N word around me, Jason Robbins. I don't want to hear it.
When?
I'll tell you when we're not recording, buddy.
Okay.
But no, I had this friend in high school one time who like put me in the bathroom once and was like, "Hey, man, like you can say it around me, just don't say it around anyone else. But like you can say it with me." And I was like, "Thanks, dude. That's really dope. It changed my life."
I would never tell that story again.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
That's the best advice I can give this whole thing. I'd never again. Now it'd have Bruce mess with me for a whole weekend. Hey, you can say it, just say it. And I was like, I cannot. I can.
Yeah, right. That's a trap.
Oh, he was messy. I mean, it was like I was like, absolutely not. He's like, I'll give you a call. I was I was like, I'm a student of history, and I refused to do that. And he started laughing. He's like, you cool. And I was like, all right.
Yeah,
But it was relentless for a whole week. When I was like, does this work? He's like, yeah, every now and then one of them will do it. And I'm like, that's because he would get wide openers, and it worked really well. Like it was
Yeah.
and it was like, and I love a black audience. They're amazing. They're there to have fun.
Yeah, the best, the most honest,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And if you're funny, they will let you know.
for sure.
But and white people are unless they're your fans and they came there to see you.
The worst.
Not. Yeah.
They're pretty
No,
much
not the worst. The worst is anyone at a comedy show in Miami. It doesn't matter race, religion, like country. Yeah. Just if you live in Miami and you're at a comedy show, that is the worst audience imaginable. It is.
Yeah.
It always makes me laugh because every couple of years there'll be somebody famous go down there and play some festival or something, and then you hear like the audience like threw chairs at them and stuff, and you're like, why? And they're like, we just bored. And like, no, everyone's on cocaine there and rich, and it's a nightmare.
It's like, I thought it was gonna be Pitbull.
It's just like, yeah, it's like there's a famous story about Chappelle, like right after at the starting of the crest of Chappelle show was down there at the Improv, which no longer exists, and that's for the best. It was a true nightmare, that place, in a funny way. Like as a comedian, you're like, this place is insane.
Yeah.
You're like, how's your set? It's awful, but holy shit, a lot happened. But Chappelle, they said they were just catch at him, and he ate chicken wings until his contract was up, and they just yelled stuff at him the whole time. They didn't stop. No one like was like, do your act or anything. They were just like, I'm rich, bitch, and like, for 45 straight minutes.
Jesus.
He didn't say. I was like, that's. He's like, and everybody's like, that's crazy. He didn't say a word. We did, and you're like, this place is insane. And then I saw this happen. This was one of the crazier things I've ever seen. And is I was there. I was just there like between, because there was like the West Palm Improv and the Fort Lauderdale Improv, and then the Miami Improv. And I was working with Ralphie May at the time, and we were like between. You would do that run sometimes, so we were between weekends, and he's like, let's stay in Miami, and I was like, all right, yes, we should. This place seems insane. And then Andrew Dice Clay was playing like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I didn't know. I never seen him before. You know what I mean? So I was like, man, let's go by. And Ralphie fell asleep, so I went down there, and we got really stoned, is what happened, like crazy stoned. And then he fell asleep, and I was like, I'm going to float down and see this lunatic. Yeah. I go, and the manager, Gideon, was like, what's up? And like, we were pals. And he's like, He's like, he's a nut. He's already like kind of yelled at me for no reason. It's awesome. And I was like, fun. So I go on, I go in the back and I'm sitting at the sound booth. He goes on and it's panda fucking moan. The crowd starts yelling, screaming at him and stuff. Kind of like the Chappelle stuff, not in a mean way, just be like just rowdy. And like he kind of like messes with them and does this thing and they kind of get calm, but never like a comedy show thing. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But it was more like it was like, hey, the opening act's pretty good. But like a rock show. Do you know when that happens when they were surprised?
yeah,
Because he got meaner with them. And then it would just pop off. You could feel the seams really early on, just popping here, left and right. And I was like, this is wild. And I walked out to smoke a cigarette because I was like, I am really stoned. And as smoking a cigarette, this is 20 minutes into his supposed to do an hour. I'm outside in this little alley and he walks out and is just standing next to me. And I was like, hey man. He's like, hey, you got a light? And I was like, yeah. And he lit a cigarette. And then he's like texting somebody. And then the car comes up. He's like, fuck these animals. And then just gets in a car and they drive back, they back out, and then he leaves. And then I was like, huh. I wonder who's on the stage. I was like, I wonder what. And then Gideon comes out, the manager, and he's like, his eyes are like this big. He's like, have you seen Dice? I was like, yeah, I just lit a cigarette and he got in a town car and left. He's like, he's supposed to be on stage right now. He just walked off stage. I was like, he left. He is not here anymore.
Wow. So what
He's like, he
happened?
left. I was like, he left. He wasn't. He's like, was he pissed? I was like, no, I didn't. I thought it seemed like he was like, he's real calm. Like we had to exchange words, and he's like, fuck these animals, and then got in a car and left. It was pretty cool, actually.
Jesus.
And then
So
like the MC was just like trying to be like, calm down, savages. It was just it was after that, it was like I was like, I just like strolled back to the condo and woke Ralphie up. I was like, dude. And he just like cry laughed, and then we were texting Gideon. Gideon's like, people were leaving without paying their tab. It was just, and I was like, yeah, that sounds. And
you should,
then, a year or so later, they're like, did you hear that Miami room closed? You're like, damn, it's tough. That was a crazy place.
so you should have jumped on stage and taken over for him and saved
Nope.
the show.
no, hell no.
Nope.
There's not enough money in the world.
I don't know if you ever been like at like a club, but like in the part where it's not the club where you can see all the stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. Where you're just like, this feels safe.
Yeah,
This
right.
This is safe. Seems dangerous down there.
Wow.
Yeah, and then this is I knew not. He's a lunatic, and I'm not even speaking out of turn. When I did Conan, he was on the show as a guest, and he was late. Like the show started before he got there. And they're very clear about being there on like kind of
Yeah.
like well they send a car for you like very early, and then I was like, I can just drive. They're like, nope, we're sending a car. You're like, oh, okay, this is a need to know where I am. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then that motherfucker, I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if he'll remember me because we had that, I was like, absolutely not. I was like, it popped in my head. I was like, he will not remember me. And he came in late, was smoking a cigarette the whole time backstage during makeup, like walked on, like right on time, was smoking a cigarette on the air. Conan was like, what in hell? And then like just smoking the whole time. And then when his segment was over, he put a cigarette out and never lit another one the whole time he was there. It was the coolest power move I've ever seen.
That's
It was
weird.
just this. He showed up late for like he made the town car wait. I was like, this is old show business. This dude knows certain tricks. And then after the show, he just walked in my green room and started talking like we had known each other, since the '80s. That kind of like my wife and Aparna are sitting there, and the Aparna goes, "You know him?" I was like, I mean, I met him. I lit a cigarette. It's a long. No, I don't know him.
When was this?
No, this was 2017, I guess, when I did Conan,
I
something
was
like
gonna
that.
say, I wonder if I
2000.
could find that clip on YouTube.
Yeah, Jen Kirkman was on there. She asked to go on and do her segment smoking a cigarette, but they told her no. And I was like, you shouldn't ask. She was like,
Yeah,
no,
just
as
do
soon as I ask. I was like, what? They're going to say no. I was like, yeah, you shouldn't ask.
Yeah, right.
it.
Like, you just show up late and are already smoking, and then you walk on. You're like, that was the move. And then, yeah, it was like a wild episode. And then he came in and just started. And then he looked at my wife and Aparna, uh, and was like, who's the lady that takes your pictures? And I was like, don't, they're, those are people. Those are not.
And those are civilians.
Those are just. That's a. And I was like, I know what you mean is like publicists, but don't. That's and they can be dudes too, man. That's not. He was just like he was sweet as can be, but also in that old showbiz kind of like I don't character and I don't know
So is he
what's
kind of
me.
stuck in the character at that point? Because I'd heard that over the years he kind of lost who he really was and just kind of became that character.
It felt, huh? You know what it felt like to me was like, yeah, there's probably that, but not in the like the negative way you say, but in this like he's a sweet man. You can tell there's a sweet, sweet little Jewish man in
Yeah.
there that's really awesome. Uh, and but that character makes so many people happy.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of torn between like doing the thing that people want him to do because he is really good at it and it's funny and it's like charming almost. It is this. I didn't understand it like the phenomenon. I was very young or whatever. And then even as a comedian, I was like, this isn't for me. But then when you like meet him and you're around him, you're like, oh, there's like a charm to this thing. Like I think people try to do that now and they're just Jeselnik does it the best.
Yeah.
Jeselnik that does it with like the kind of like, hey, we're having
Yeah.
like so and then I just that's what that read I got was like he was super sweet to everyone, looked everyone in the eye, crew, you know what I mean? Like amazing, like pro showbiz. But
Cause see
also
that
like
to me that's
he
just
sold out Madison Square Garden as a
well,
fucking
yeah.
comedian, so that warps your head.
It's weird to me, because there is a breed of comedian that put on a character like that to go on stage, and they're not that person off stage. Like you look at somebody like Gilbert Gottfried, that character, like that's not really him. Like that's
Bobcat.
a character, and then I feel like this the comedians of like say the past 15, 20 years or so, it's more they're just who they are on stage and they're not like putting on a character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was
I
very
mean,
70s.
I was gonna say Larry the Cable Guy was pretty popular.
Yeah, but people
Yeah.
took him to task for that because that's a character. And I never really understood why people went after him for that because he is in real life, he's not Larry the Cable Guy. That's a character
Yeah.
he's
He's
playing.
just Larry.
But
He's
you
just
look
he's Dan Whitney is his name.
yeah,
Is
and
it?
you
He's a
look
nice
at people.
guy.
You look back in the past at people like Sam Kinison. That character he played on stage, like
I don't know if he did. I think from
I
what
don't
I
think he
know
did.
about that man is like
but I think he became the character, and the character is what.
That's a whole different thing though. Like he became that character after a severe brain injury. Like he couldn't help it.
Yeah, man.
no, and a plethora of cocaine that eats that part of your brain that is moral. So
Yeah.
like there's like that like that's another part of like American culture that we like to I like, when people are like, well, this generation was this and this and this and this is and you're like, well, what we really need to identify if we're really examining why we do stuff politically and societally, it's like what drugs was everyone fucking on then? If you look at the
Yeah.
80s, everyone got greedy as fuck because they're
Yeah.
all coked out of their minds. You look at
Right.
the 60s and 70s, it was groovy and weird because everybody's tripping balls and doing stuff like that. It's like, and then there's also groups of people not doing those drugs that are evil. Uh, and all they want is power, and we have to watch them.
Yeah.
That's who's really. It's not a large percentage of society that's fucking it up. It's always a small, small, tiny one that we just don't watch because we like to go in pastures and do drugs.
And I
Dude, I
feel
love
like
doing
this
drugs with my
episode,
pastors.
I feel like this whole episode, we skirted a few topics that we skirted getting canceled quite a few times on this show. I don't know how you
I
guys
don't know.
feel.
If and when we get our
That's what
Spotify
comedy
deal,
is, right?
yeah. It's like if we ever get a Spotify deal, I'm gonna have to apologize for a few things, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not gonna. Those deals are done, you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We're
that
not-
was to take over the podcast landscape, and they did that already. So just keep doing what you're doing.
I don't
Like
know.
the guy that brokered a lot of those deals is not even there anymore,
Oh no.
and that says a lot.
Well, we had a couple of friends of ours who a couple of years ago were going to get a Spotify deal. And all that had to happen was one of the co-hosts had to apologize for saying the N-word a whole bunch on their show. And he just didn't fucking do it.
Well,
Yeah, that's the face I made too.
He just didn't fucking do it. He was just like, no, I would rather just not have Spotify money and just like not apologize for anything ever.
man, okay, that's weird as fuck.
Yeah. You're not
That
wrong.
doesn't make. I mean, Joe Rogan was like, "Hey, my bad.
Yeah, right.
That just like he was like that was one of the realest things I ever saw. He's like, that is not good. That's not It was like, no, it wasn't. Just stop it. It's like, but I feel like that's a discipline thing too. I remember I really bought into the beer and pussy part after I played baseball in college. I went to a bigger school and got the Greek life. I was like, it's Animal House, and it's not like that. It's a lot of rich. It's what my dad said it was. I was like, damn. But like during pledging, we weren't allowed to say like this, the secret word or whatever. The thing that the brothers other when they leave and finish the hand jobs and stuff. Man, they hate when I do stuff like that. I'm still friends with like two or three of them, and they're like, "Man, when you make those jokes, some of our friends text us, they're like, this motherfucker, we didn't do," and I'm like, "Yeah, there's a lot of hand jobs." But it makes me laugh. These fucking assholes. But I just didn't say it because I was like, okay. And then I would get in the car with like some of my pledge brothers, and they would just scream it as soon as we were like without, earshot of a fucking active or whatever they're called, like someone that could get you in trouble. They would just be like, blah, blah. And I was just like, sit there. I was like, I don't have, like, just because they say we can't doesn't make me want to say, it's like, I just won't say it. And then, like, in the ceremony, when they tell you what it means, I made a couple of, like, these really old, like, one of them was the DA and one of them was the judge. They come back in this weird way. It's like all of it's like, oh, this is creepy. And you guys are running shit too, or okay, whatever. I don't care. I'm funny. This doesn't affect me. So, but in the ceremony, they tell you what it means, and I went, you gotta be kidding me. I just couldn't hold it in. Everyone's in the robe, and it's all, and like this DA and this judge just barely laughed. And they're like, right? I was like, this is the stupidest fucking shit. Ugh. And now you can look up what it means on the internet. You couldn't then. It was like a secret and it's passed down. And then I was like, I wonder, like 10 years ago, I just Googled it and I was like, yeah, I knew someone would put it on the internet. Someone that kicked out or something. Like, fuck these motherfuckers. I'll just say what it is. It's funny.
I never had those college experiences.
It was frustrating. I didn't. When you like high school, classes like rich and poor is still kind of area. And then it was college that's when it became like, oh, weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I went to community college, so I did. There wasn't any of that. It's just a lot of doing drugs.
No,
That's
I
it.
played baseball at a community college. That was fun as hell. Like I have nothing. I learned more. I got a better education there than I did at the fucking. Now I got a
100%.
different education at the university. It was more of a social, like this is societal education than I did. I got a. That's a good advice for anyone who's listening. If you want an actual education, go to community college to study what you want to learn and be, and get it affordably. And then if you want to learn how like structures and all that shit work, go to a big school for a year or something and fucking party.
Yeah.
Because that's how you learn it, how it all really works. Like I always remember just being fascinated and confused with kids that already knew their whole life.
Yeah, I'm
And we're
45
like,
and I
hey, yeah,
still
no,
don't
I'm gonna
know.
go up and I'm gonna do this, and then we do this, and I'll get a house there, and I'll marry a blonde lady around here, and I'll do this, and you're like, yeah, that is.
Yeah. I envy that though.
Yeah.
I've been doing comedy since 17 years old. I fucked up.
Well, you're 22. Stop
Yeah.
if you don't like it.
No, it's
God
too
damn,
late,
I
man.
started at 21,
Well, it's like I
22.
already flunked out of school. Like
I quit school to do.
you quit school to do comedy?
It.
That was a good
I took
decision.
the educations department told me to do that. Well, I told him I was going to, and
Yeah.
was waiting for him to be like, "Nah, just finish and do this." And he was like, "Nah, you should."
Yeah.
I had him for a couple of classes, and he was like, "No, you're like funny," and I was like, "Yeah, I know. That's why I'm quitting school."
It's like every rapper that just knows they're good. Like
It
Mac
was like,
Miller at like 17 is like, nah, I got bars. Like we're fine.
well, like any of the, I remember being frustrated in communications classes in a big school because I was like, some of you can't speak out loud, and that's
Yeah.
like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like it's fascinating. And then like one day I didn't read the syllabus right, and I showed up to this advanced public speaking class, and it was like a persuasive speech, and I was like, I thought it was mine was 2 days from now. I had to leave, and my friend was like, just fucking make something up, and I was like, oh okay. And then I persuaded the teacher to give me an A, even though I didn't follow this instructions or turn in any of the stuff. And then I was like, but listen, this is why I know the stat, and I did this whole thing. Everybody, and he was like, yeah, it's fucking A. And there was like a couple teachers' pets I remember. What the fuck? And I just want to be
Yeah.
like, you shouldn't do this. This is why y'all. And then, yeah, that's what I was like. Yeah, I had good grades. My mom is still mad. She's like, just finish. I was like, it's a scam.
It
It's a
is.
scam.
It's definitely a scam.
Hey, and it never stops. Trust me. You're no matter how old you get, your parents are still going to ask you to go to school. It still happens to me. I'm 45. My parents are like, "You ever going to go back to school?" Like, no, not going to
No,
happen.
no,
No, I
no.
have no plans to go back to school.
I, I didn't have much student loans, and I'm bragging about this because it didn't make sense. The way I understood the, you know, money.
yeah.
I was just like, well, I don't need all that money. I just need enough to pay for school, and then that's all I need. Like, I have a little job. I can once they make you. I remember how mad I was after you get out of the dorms and you get an apartment, and you're like, wait, I can live with my friends, get my own room and bathroom and a kitchen for much cheaper
Mm-hmm.
than that dorm situation. I'm gonna burn this whole situation down. So like that was the only time I like loan was from one semester. They made me live in the fucking dorm,
Mm.
and the time I was like, just what I need for the that I didn't get books because I looked at the prices of the books and I was like, this is a scam. I don't like this. And my mom's like, just do it. Just take one of your paychecks and just buy the books. And I was like, so I went to our really, really nice library at Western Kentucky University. And guess what? Every book that teachers use at that university is also in that library.
Yeah.
So if you really need the book, you can go check it out and do your
Yeah.
studying where you're already
Yeah.
studying and
Oh
do
God.
that.
College
Also,
books are the
there's
biggest scam ever.
there's no
The
information that's not
librarian
on the
lady
internet.
figured it. She was like, "There's always like 10 or 11 of you every semester that kind of figure this out." And I was like,
Yeah, I just Googled my way through college. Like every single answer, just it's all on Google. Like there's no information that's not on fucking Google.
I would towards the end, what I did in one of because I worked in the computer information systems department, like that was one of my on campus jobs.
Yeah.
Uh, they didn't teach me how computers work. I plugged in, I did shapes. You know what I mean? I plugged
Yeah.
in the shapes to the shapes, and then
Hell yeah.
I would bring, that was and then there were nerds in there that would teach me how Napster and all that stuff worked. It was cool. Uh, but that was that I got to drive around. You know what I mean? In the I had a Western Kentucky van.
Nice.
I still can't believe they gave me the keys because I was just that we could drive on the sidewalk in those vans. You know what I mean? Because it had the thing. Like a couple of times, people would be like, "Hey," because they see a young person, and then they'd see the side of the official thing. Then, all right, and then I'd open up the side of the van and just have my friends get in. I'd drive around campus to classes and stuff.
That's
And
awesome.
I had fun. But I wasn't, scamming everything. It was like this whole thing's a goddamn scam. I remember the end of it was I had group decision and group dynamics, and the lady taught it as if the world was a utopia and everyone had the same skill sets and abilities, so everyone got to speak the same amount of time in a group setting. And I was like, this is scam. You scam this university. Like this is like because she wrote the book that you and all this, and I was like, oh, I know what this is. This you're an old grifter. This is brilliant, but this makes me insane because you're not teaching us like anything about how like the real like I just think my dad was a coach. I came from all this team dynamic shit, and I was like, it drove me nuts because I was like, this isn't how any group works.
Yeah.
Like even this is like you guys are like, let him talk. We talk all the time. Like that's what like if we all talk equally, it'd be a nightmare. And that's what she taught. I almost lit a cigarette in her class one day. My friend was like, "Hey, you can't." And I was like, "Ah, she's stressing me the fuck. This is lunacy." But then I was like, "Oh, this is a scam. Like this is a." I was like, "I'm done. This whole thing makes no fucking sense. Like if you're gonna be a doctor or a scientist or like, yes,
And that's I think people need to realize, and that's why we're in the trouble we're in with like all the student loans and all that shit. And you hit it the nail on the head. Unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, or you have to have a doctorate
Podcaster.
for something. Like that's the only like a scientist. Those are the only couple of reasons you need to go to college. Other
I
than
took
that, go to a trade school or go to
Yeah.
community
take
college.
trade classes in high school.
Yeah.
Take those.
For
They'll
sure.
teach you to get in cheap, be an apprentice somewhere. Do like that is like I'm not, and it's weird for me to be like, I've been a successful comic since I was like 23. I've made a living at this, but it's also because like I come from a football coach, an English teacher, like a TVA farmer, grandpa. You know what I mean? Like so, like I just approached it like work
Yeah.
because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I make money in this. This is like what it is. Like, but it's like I think one of the frustrating things is like I look back and laugh like exactly what you're saying. Like all those rich dudes that said I was a lazy fucker, and because I didn't have money to do all the stuff, but I was like I was the only one with a fucking job that was paying for my apartment. But
Right.
they call me like, you know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
that was my first introduction to that kind of thought process where I was like, making sense. But now like most of those dudes are insurance agents across the state of Kentucky. I was like, that's the laziest job you can have. What do you sell? Something the government requires you to have.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
your own company? No, it's State Farm. There's just these. I just pick these boxes, and then you do the thing, and then when something happens and stuff, it's
Dude, I know. I got a license to sell life insurance a few years ago because it was just fucking
Since
easy.
when?
Dude,
that's smart.
it was so easy. Like it was the
Yeah,
easiest thing I've ever done was learn how to sell life insurance.
Why aren't you doing that?
Because it's boring as fuck. That's why.
it is boring as fuck, and you kind of got to be like. We bought some a couple of
You got to be a
but
certain personality to do it.
it is, and it's
It's
you're
not me.
that is exactly right because the people that do it aren't bad people, but they have a way that it works for them. It's
Yeah.
because you leave, you're like, man, that's weird. They do
Because
that
let me
all
tell you
day.
something about insurance agents. They don't give a shit about you. They just want that. They just want that check that you're gonna generate from selling that policy. That's all you are to them,
Dude, that's everyone in every job ever. What
yeah,
are you
but
talking about?
at the same time, like I just don't have that personality to. That's why I'm not a salesman.
Yeah,
I
me either.
can't sell. I can't grift people. I don't have that whatever that salesman mentality is. Like I
Yeah.
could never
I
sell a
sell
car or
anybody. You're right. I believe you can't, but I'm with you. I can't unless I like truly believe it.
yeah.
I could probably sell it if I'm like, hey man, these shoes, I love these shoes. And that's when people are like, you should be a salesman. You're like, no, I just like things. It's like if you're like sell these tires, you're like, I don't want to do that.
But if you're out there and you're one of those people that likes to be a salesman, dude, it like getting your insurance, your license to sell insurance is like the easiest thing on planet Earth to do,
Yep.
and like it
Yeah.
makes you so much money.
So much.
I'm gonna go do that like right after the
Good
podcast.
dude, I'm telling you, go do it. It's
Dude,
the
you could do
easiest thing
that.
ever.
And if you worked hard, literally for like maybe 12 to 18 months, like worked really hard and you still comedy, but like worked hard for like 18 months to 2 years of getting a client base while you still did comedy. You could maintain those if you could just keep those clients. You could do comedy comfortably for a long time, just maintaining those clients you built for that first 2 years. Like
he's not wrong.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a certain. I don't know how you feel about polo shirt, just like that kind of lifestyle, but
Love it. I look really good in polos.
you're gonna do great. You got a good face for it. If I'm being honest,
Thank you.
like it's
Thank you.
trustworthy. Like it's kind of like young.
You look
Yeah.
like an
I
insurance
won't steer you
salesman.
Yeah, you kind of like you have that like. What it is like you have a jovial face, where, like, also I bet when you get nervous, you kind of smile too.
100%.
Uh-huh.
Nervous, scared, tired. I'm just always fucking smiling, dude.
Yeah, so people are like, I like him. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
I fucking got him.
Well, that's
you know,
the
we
thing.
got to do this anyway. Why not this? Why
You hear
not
that, everybody?
Shoney's here.
We're coming to the end of the episode. Go buy insurance from Jacob Craig. He'll
hell yeah,
steer
dude.
you wrong.
That's cool how you end the episode like that.
He's got a face you can trust. Here at
100%.
at Open
I think you
Micers
should.
Insurance.
Can I
Limited.
come back in 18 months and see if
Yeah.
I want your background
100%.
to just be like sport, like high-end
The
sports
State Farm.
memorabilia and like a wooden. You're right, he's doing good. He's getting
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like an ex-wife.
just like sure, yeah, like a young lady pop in, just be like, hey, I didn't know. And you're like, Brett Favre's here. Brett's here.
He's here to buy insurance. He needs
Brett's
welfare
here.
now.
Brett's here.
Brett
He
could
wants
use
to
some
talk.
welfare now.
Thank you.
Yeah, he could. He's getting wrecked.
I forgot to. Are we done? Can I not ask about that? That is fast. I don't know. I know bits and pieces.
I mean,
of that
we're
story, and every
still
time I
in-
look into it, I'm like, this
We're
is
still in
not
the episode,
good.
but from what I understand, he's in a lot of trouble for taking money from the welfare department. in
Dude,
Mississippi, like
I don't know what
millions
the
of
fuck.
dollars. He's
But
in.
and then it was like supposed to be a loan. That's the way I understood it. And then he just didn't pay it back.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
So
he
I
was.
feel like he did like the PPE loan thing, but wrong.
Well, he was
No, this
supposed
was
to.
before that,
Well, the money
Was
right?
went
it?
to
Oh,
him because he was supposed to do some appearances, I think, and some like
oh,
some
okay.
motivational speaking or something like that, and just
Copper
didn't do
tone.
anything. Like they gave him all this money and he didn't fucking do shit for it. And now
Got
they're
that
like,
copper
"You got to
tone
give the
money.
money back," and he's like, "Well, I don't have it. I spent it."
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
That's a good way to get away with
Didn't he
like
make
taking money.
hundreds? Didn't he make hundreds of millions?
Yeah, but he's from
Yeah.
Mississippi, so he probably didn't know how to
Dude,
handle
he's
money.
looking rough. He's looking rough. He definitely snorted that fucking money.
Oh, that's you say a lot of things you shouldn't as a young man.
Yeah, because that's libel, my friend.
Yeah, that's don't we don't know
What?
that for sure. We do know early in his career that he did like to party and drink. That is true. And then
I
we
have
know that he did probably take painkillers most of his playing career, is what I'm
Well,
guessing
I'm
from
pretty sure
some of those
most
performances.
all right, he
most.
allegedly
And then
snorted that money.
I just
Hey,
that makes I don't it's I mean, if we're being honest, to have that much money and then come back to Mississippi is not a great idea.
yeah. And what Jacob said is not for me. I'm not.
Nope. I just
Well,
he's
that
young
Jacob's
just
opinions are his own.
they represent none of
I
us.
I may or may not already have a pending defamation case against me.
Yeah. So
The
don't.
good thing is maybe you should hold off on doing that insurance thing because you
Yeah.
might
Ah,
not
dude.
it might be better for you to not have any possessions
I
for a while.
Yeah, I feel like I should sell myself life insurance.
Yeah. You probably should. Well, I don't know. They
It's,
could take that from you.
Did you
it's
know
that
that you take out life insurance on people, then they not know it?
Yeah. It's very easy to do.
I know what I'm
And
doing
that
for the next few
I
months.
I guarantee you some of those dudes I went to college with have done that on
Yeah.
me.
Probably. We should start taking
Well,
out life insurance on Brett Favre.
oh, that's an interesting, huh?
It's like the ultimate Deadpool.
That's what I was like. It's like that Stanhope's death pool thing, but like putting some real money into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like sports betting.
Like I'm not trying. It's not an ego win for me. I'm trying to get rich here.
All right, we need to
Oh,
end
All
the
right, we need
episode
to
though,
end this
we get in
before we
trouble,
dig
boys.
ourselves into a hole and we're.
that's a fascinating thing that I think later in life you'll be like, holy shit, people were doing that thing that we
Yeah.
thought was really bad, and you're like, no, it's just a legal thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, man, it has been
There's
an
good the whole
absolute
time.
pleasure to have you on
Yeah,
the show.
we can talk about anything. Like I said, I'm pretty open.
We'll have
But
to have you
come
back on. Tell everybody where they can find your tickets at and where you're going to be.
bwdtour.com. And then if you just Google Billy Wayne Davis, all this stuff comes up that you need.
Yeah, I think the best way to do it is like the BWD tour, and then you have a Tumblr that's pretty active. It's billywaynedavis.tumblr.com.
Do I really?
Yeah. You don't even know where your stuff is.
I have a Tumblr?
Yeah.
It might not be you, like we were talking about earlier.
Oh.
Just someone else talking shit to idiots on Tumblr.
I don't.
Yeah, it's got links to all your social media and stuff on there.
Well, Billy Wayne Davis is going to
Heard
Google
about
his Tumblr now.
Yeah, let me.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
Yeah, I've got a Tumblr.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Well,
it was
that
a
used to
pleasure.
be that we used to link that to BWD tour to that,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
and then we made a proper one that's just like
Yeah.
can do like a.
Yeah, so I'll put
But I
that in the
guess-
show notes to bwdtour.com and billywaynedavis.tumblr.com. And go follow him on all the socials. Go see him live. Thank you so much for being here. Jacob, you got
Yeah.
anything you want to tell the people before we leave tonight?
Just that we got 2 more great comics coming up at the end of this month, and we are putting our Halloween month of guests together very slowly. So you guys stay tuned for some cool, scary shit.
Awesome. Well, go follow us at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram. OpenMicers.com takes you to our website, and go to our merch shop. I tell you what, go to our Twitter at Open Micers and just click the link tree at the top. That'll take you everywhere you need to go. And thank you guys for hanging out with us. And we'll see you next week.
I could beat up Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I don't think you could.
All right, I'm ending the stream now before.
I don't think you could.
All right, thank you.
He does have that copper tone.
Thank you guys for watching on Twitch.
You don't understand the pain
on
threshold
YouTube.
that man has.
We'll see you guys next time.